2, 1, and on. Cool. Well, we'll just let people trickle in. I'm sure they'll come through. It's on Twitter, it's on Discord, so people know what's up. But either way, sometimes people got other things to do, but it'll go up on the YouTube like as soon as it's published. So we're all good. So guys, welcome to the Joyage Kingdom. I'm Cage, your guide. I'll be replacing the little voices inside your head for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say thank you first for listening or viewing on whatever platform you're on. If you haven't already, smash that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. Today, I'm joined by the founder of Colony NFT, Mr. Hunter Bessell. Welcome to the channel, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, listen, we're gonna. Oh shit, my phone. Okay. Well, listen, we're gonna talk about Colony. We're gonna talk about Hunter. We're gonna talk about NFTs, how we got in here, all the things pretty much. And also, if you guys want, you can drop your questions in the chat, and we'll try our best to answer them as long as they're not too alpha related. I usually try and keep the focus on the actual founder. Sometimes I'll see interviews with like project founders, and the host will just kind of grill them about what's coming up on the project. I feel like it's kind of like uncomfortable. So, anyways, dude, I haven't seen you on many podcasts, so I don't actually know your story. I'd love for you to jump into kind of like the origin of how you got into NFTs. I remember I asked Betty from Deadfellas how she got in, and she was like, it was like one of my first things ever. And then I've asked other people, and they're like, I've been in crypto since 2012. So I'd love to know how you got in.
Sure. Yeah. So here we'll start the journey. It basically in 2018 was my first introduction to NFTs and crypto at the same time. So I'd known about crypto for a while prior to that, for just like fake ID stuff on the deep web, etc. But for NFTs and crypto, like outside of Bitcoin, I was actually 18, and no, was I 18? It was 2018. I was 17 years old, and wow. I was a senior in high school, and I was doing like freelance videography at the time. So I would do literally filming videos and editing videos just for random people. So I bought like a DSLM, which is like a mirrorless DSLR camera.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, I know that world well.
Yeah, so I got one of those, and I started doing like low budget music videos for like rappers in my area, and then I started to get like watch companies paying me to do like photos and videos for them off Instagram. And like I actually like I archived all my stuff from my Instagram before, but I had I had a pretty poppin' Instagram like at the time, at least in my head. I thought it was really big. Like I had like 10K, like I think at one point it was 13, and it was all just me posting like videos and some graphic design stuff, like really just trying to like make money being creative on the internet. That was my goal. And I had all these videos up on my Instagram, and this company, they reached out to me, and they're like, hey, we want you to it's actually through a connection of mine that I did videos for, but he said like, hey, these people, they're a crypto startup, and they're in LA right now. They're basically making Instagram on the blockchain, and I had no clue what that meant. But their company, if you Google them right now, they're called Appics. It's APPICS, and they're like still, I think they're like pre-product still, but basically, nice. Yeah. So the idea is that their app is like you basically get paid in their cryptocurrency or their tokens for getting engagement on your posts, and you have like a certain amount of likes you could send out per day. So you can create like a crypto creator economy within a Instagram like app, and that's what they're building. So at the time, I went up, I said yeah to the opportunity, and I got like, yeah, they paid my gas. So I literally, I didn't even get paid. I got paid in gas money. Damn. And I drove up there, and I stayed up there for a few nights out of the week up in LA. And it was during the week, so I actually skipped school and was filming like behind the scenes video stuff for them to throw up on their Instagram.
Wait, how old? You're senior year, right?
I'm a 17-year-old in my senior year of high school.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love it.
I was already skipping school, so like I actually started to make income when I was a senior in high school off the videos. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough for me to like I started doing this thing called independent study, where I didn't spend all my time on my classes. I spent only 2 classes in person, and the rest were online my senior year. So I did that, and I was doing video stuff, like trying to make money online. And yeah, I did that. But I went up there and I filmed videos for them. And dude, I met their team, and these guys, the way they got into crypto is they turned a yoga studio into a Bitcoin mining facility in Germany, and
That
they
is
used that money.
legend.
Yeah, I mean that's what I heard. Like that's what they told me, and that's like kind of like the story behind that project. But yeah, they had raised. So just to kind of like focus this, like I was there and I was filming videos for them, and they liked them. It was good enough for them to throw up on the gram.
Yeah.
But I remember they were throwing events at this house in West Hollywood. It was like a mansion. And they had a bunch of these like movie producers, like just like entertainment industry business people there for a presentation that they had on a big TV screen, and they're kind of had like a little like open house party to like raise money for their token. And I remember they raised something like $2 million in a week, and it was from having like an in-person activation at their house. And like I remember being a part of that, and I'd never seen that much. Like it was pretty mind-blowing to me. I was like, I still didn't wrap my head around what they were doing at the time. Now in retrospect, I know exactly what they were doing
Yeah.
with the application. But yeah, they they raised a ton of money. Kind of I was a little bit frazzled. I'm like, damn, this is like completely different world. Because the thing about crypto is at least for me, like I never even really fully understood how the internet worked. And then when you start to learn about how like blockchain works, and like there's a lot of things I just didn't get. Like I was still in high school, so like still learning about like macroeconomics and like just different things that I think when you learn about crypto, you have to already have like a foundational knowledge about how the world works in order for you to understand why blockchains could benefit society. So, you know, that was my introduction. They were into NFTs at the time. There was a lot of other stuff I got exposed to through that connection. But long story short, I did those videos. Nothing really came much out of it beyond that, other than like I got to hang out with them for a week, and they got the videos for me to throw on their Instagram.
Damn, dude.
So that's how I got started. And then basically, so that was when I was 17 in 2018. So a year later, so I didn't go to college. I kept trying to make it work, making like freelance videos for a year. And, I was never able to make a sustainable amount of money doing that with the amount of work I was putting in. It felt like a dead end, for me at least. Like it just wasn't the best opportunity long term, but it was a good start. I learned a lot about project management, like managing myself, getting getting clients. Like I kind of learned that in order for you to get business, you need to, like, at least in that industry, people need to see the work that you're able to produce. So I I learned a lot about how to acquire clients by having like a good portfolio. And it was good for me. But it was really just like a starting point. I actually got into user interface and web design like a year after all that went down, off of like a fluke incident. So I was doing this like Instagram content. Like I literally had somebody on a retainer for me to create like videos and photos of this dude's lifestyle, and he lived in downtown SD.
Nice.
And it was whatever. He had like a decent sized Instagram, and he wanted his IG flicks to be on point.
Yeah.
So I was getting some recurring income off of that. But basically, this dude, me and him would go to the gym, we work out, I'd shoot photos for him, whatever, pay me some money, and it was like a cool little gig. But what happened is he flew like across, he went to like London or something, and then he came back and he got his suitcase swapped out with another guy's suitcase, and his tire was popped like a week earlier. So what happened is we were at the gym, and he's like, bro, I brought home the wrong suitcase, because this guy just called me and I didn't even open my suitcase. This guy called me and he said that I have your suitcase, because they had like the same suitcase. And he's like, but bro, my tire popped and I need to get like a ride to go out there. And it was in Temecula, so it's like an hour and 15 minutes away. And he's like, bro, I need you to drive me if it's possible. I'll pay you. And we're at the gym working out, and we're about to take photos afterwards. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, bro, like I need to get my suitcase and my tire popped. Like, could you drive me? And I'm like, dude, I'm not really down. But he eventually kind of talked me into it. And these dudes that he got his suitcase swapped out with, it was a guy and his friend. They met us up at this like a Starbucks down there. And they're like, hey, we saw in your notebook, like the reason we found your phone number is we're looking through your notebook and we saw like a bunch of stuff about like crypto. So this guy was into crypto at the time, and they're like, hey, like we don't think anything, like we don't think this stuff happens for like by chance. We're like, we want to get to know you guys. Like, what do you guys do?
Okay. I thought they were about to I thought they were about to be like, give me all your money or something. I was ready for like them to rob you or something. Oh shit, dude. All right. Okay. My heart was pounding.
No. So basically, these guys were like, we got to know them, and they were just saying like, hey, like we're so basically these two guys, one of them is now like super high up at DraftKings. They're both in the casino game industry. So one of them basically ran the television of poker for Fox, and then another one works at DraftKings right now. Did basically and okay, so these two guys, one of them works at DraftKings, another one works at Zed Run, if you know what that company is.
I do know what Zed Run is. Holy shit, dude. What a fucking coincidence.
Yeah, my friend's suitcase got swapped out with a guy who now like works with Zed Run, and then his friend works at DraftKings. But they're like, hey, we have this casino games company, like we sell table games to casinos, and we need a new website. Do you guys know anybody who does websites? And I knew just enough about like using a drag and drop website editor to basically be like, yo, I do websites. Like I literally just like, yeah, I do that. And I didn't really have too much prior experience other than like setting up my own portfolio prior, but I just kind of like put myself in. I just said like, hey, I could do it. And they said, all right, well, how much would you charge to do a website for us? Like where we don't want anything too crazy, just like a cool front end with our branding, whatever, show our games, the locations in the casinos we're in. And I'm like, oh, I'll do it for like $3,000. And they said, yeah, deal, let's do it. And the next 2 weeks I spent like every single day nonstop, like literally like as many waking hours as I could, learning how to build websites with this tool called Webflow. It's basically like, it's not a drag and drop website editor. It's what you'd call like visual coding, I guess. Like you still need to have like a good understanding of HTML and CSS, and it kind of teaches you how to program websites through like a visual editor. But I learned how to build a website, and they were stoked on it, and they loved it. And I basically used that website to like start creating like income for myself using the same freelance skills that I did with video editing. I used that same sort of like skill set to start getting clients in web design, and then eventually was starting to get hired for towards the end for like user interface projects. So I wouldn't even like it wouldn't even just be me on the project. It'd be me doing a UI and then another person implementing it.
Bro, that's legendary. And I've taken a couple website design classes in college. I tried computer science for a year. It wasn't for me. She was very hard. And damn, bro, props to you. Website design it was one of the hardest classes. I struggled with it for some reason. I just couldn't. My brain just couldn't link the coding world, and like I would be like, okay, this is what I want to do, and so like the TA would be like, okay, so this is obviously the first line of code. Like this is the obvious next command, and I'd just be like, yeah, I could not have come up with that on my own. That shit is really, really hard. So props to you for putting together the websites, man. Website design, that shit pays extremely well. You can charge some exorbitant amounts of money. You know, if you're like, look, I can do the thing and I can make it look real good and make it work well, you can charge a lot of money for that.
Yeah, dude. And this is like for anybody out there who's looking for like side income, like like towards the end, like my amount of hours I was putting in and the amount of money I was making was like about like $400 an hour. For the amount of work I was doing and the amount of money I'd make, because I'd get like, for me it was like I've gotten so lucky. Like I got clients like in the entertainment industry. Like towards the end of my website development, web design, UI, web development, merch website type of career, I built a site for like Trippy Red. I built the site for this company called Yubo. I built all these sites for like these very simple websites that just need like a clean design, clean implementation. You could build like inside of Webflow. If you could link it up to like e-commerce, like you could basically have like a merch website function entirely in Webflow with a couple of like third-party tools that you connect to it. But I started learning how to do that. The reason I got circled back to NFTs is early last year, like super early last year, I actually got a few projects that were NFT marketplace user interfaces. So I got hit up to do this one for this company called Shagmag, and I'm not sure if they ever launched it, but it was like an NFT marketplace for nudes.
Wait, hold on. Shagmag, isn't that website run by
Yeah, it's like
who is
Jake
it?
Paul's girlfriend
Yeah,
at the time.
dude. Is it Julia?
Yeah, so her name's Julia. Yeah, exactly. So that was like I met with their team, and I got on the phone with her, the rest of them, and they're like, yeah, we want to do NFT marketplace.
What
Then we
the
did like
fuck?
a merch website for them. Like there's a lot of things. Also, a lot of these things I worked on never even like came to full production and went live. Like that's a lot of like I'd still get paid,
God.
and I would just do something for these people, and then sometimes they'd
They
use it,
didn't,
sometimes they wouldn't.
but they didn't pay you though?
No, I was getting paid.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say at least you got the bag. Who cares if it went live? That's fucking wild, bro. That is actually wild. I knew one of my friends knows Julia from way back when she was like in like school. That's the only reason. Well, that and then of
Small
course
world.
everyone knows the Paul brothers. But dude, that's fucking wild. So that you got an intro from like doing work on the back end of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the one thing that I think that like I would just give myself credit for is like I think I've never like it took me I'll just grind really hard at learning a new skill, and then like I'm able to like network with people and get in front of them and kind of say like, yeah, this is what I could do. Like
Right.
to get those connections, like what I would do to people is I would do free work up front, like do a lot of free value, and then I swear, dude, like you just get karma.
Yeah, for sure.
Opportunities just start to stack when you've done like a lot of people that are like on your side. You want to get as many people on your side as possible that just want to naturally help you because you help them, and like they'll introduce you to your network. Like if you could get access to someone's network and they're very connected, and you maybe give them like a discount rate, but they're going to introduce you to other people and they want you to do well, like that's been very well. Like I had that happen. On top of doing those websites, I was doing like medical websites. So like for like a orthopedic surgeon websites, like a hospice company, like a bunch of random like small business websites. But it gave me income, enough money to just like play Valorant all day. And that's what I did. So I literally would just like do a few websites a month, and then I would just play Valorant.
Legend. Were you any good?
I was horrible at first, but I eventually got to like top 1,000, 2,000. Like I think I peaked at like top 1,600 or something like that. But
Dude, that's legendary. Fuck yeah.
Dude, I don't know. I just loved. I think Valorant's a really good, really fun game. I think I got addicted to it because I when I first started playing, I was the worst out of all my friends, and then like whenever that happens, whenever I'm like I care about something and I'm like way worse than everybody, I always get like extremely like laser focused on how I get better. It's like a
You've been like that
competitive
your
thing.
whole life?
Yeah, like I think that like I'm like one of these people. I'll go through a phase where if I'll figure something out, like I'll keep doing something like relentlessly until I figure it out, and then once I get it figured out, I kind of want to move on to something else that's I'm a beginner at. So that's what's so fun about the space that I'm in right now, is that there's just like colossal competition, and we have something really good. So like luckily, like last year, just to focus the conversation back to where we were before, like I was doing the NFT marketplaces with the website stuff. I was getting into Colony. It's like literally like it started as a joke and now it's the most legitimate thing that I've ever like put my name behind. So like there's like right now we have it's I would never imagine where the project is right now. When I first started it, it was purely as like I'm doing these NFT websites. The space is super early, and this was like February last year. I had gotten a couple clients for some like Dogecoin copies, and I was
Oh
just
my
like, dude,
god.
there's just too many people making way too much money in crypto, and I've like don't have respect for them. Like,
Mm,
not and this is not for anybody that I mentioned earlier, but like as
yeah.
some specific clients of mine, for doing website design, were behind some like at the time I had no clue because I was just building a front end for them, but some like literal like very questionable Dogecoin
Yeah.
competitor projects, and I was just like, dude, these guys are like what is going on? What is this money in the space? And I think like there's just last year is just wild. Like
Yeah.
what happened in NFTs and shit coins and like where how far everything went was just a little bit absurd. But luckily, you know, there's a where was I going with this? Like with Colony and getting everything where it's at. It's like I'm like so I've never been in my entire life, honestly, the amount of dedication and work I've been putting into this and like like how attached I've become to the success of this project. Like I've never had that before in something in my life. So like I was always into certain things like baseball, skateboarding, Valorant, maybe you could qualify that, video editing, web design. With this, it's like it's wild because like it all connects to different aspects of like me growing up. So like I a lot of people don't know this about the colonists. I drew the initial like character designs, like actually like the earliest versions like back in high school. Like and they weren't called the colonists, but like I was sketching in high school. I always have been somebody from like a young age. I've always been trying to create worlds and create characters and create things, and see them come to life. And this is like the first time where it's like something that started off as like drawings on a piece of paper now is having like there's like a genuine community of people. There's IP, there's like a world, there's there's just so many things that have sprouted from something I initially started as a joke, um, just as like a side project, and then it caught a lot of momentum, and now it's like in a place where it's a vehicle for something that's way crazier than what I thought it was at the initial inception.
Dude, not even a little bit of hype. You sold out 25,000 items. That's fucking insane, even in that market, bro. There's only like a handful of projects I can think about that have dropped a project that large. And like, for example, like if you guys had a 10,000 or a 5,000 collection, the floor would not be 0.05. The fact that it's even there even is a floor at a 25,000 item collection in this state of the market is pretty crazy, dude. Like there's some, I mean, I've been in your Discord before. I've chatted with people in there. You got some serious support in there in that project.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is like I care that the rest of the team cares. Like we'll take this back to so when the project started, like I'm gonna give a shout out to a friend of mine named Andy Grossberg. In the early NFT, uh, early in the space, I met him in some through my brother-in-law. So here I keep this story is a little bit all over the place, but it's good to provide context. I was working on a music NFT marketplace initially, before Colony,
Yeah,
as like a side project with my brother-in-law, and we built a demo that we were building on the Wax blockchain, and it
yeah,
was more like predicting demand rather than creating something that I actually really cared about.
mm,
And we built that demo, and through my brother-in-law, we were working on that. That project was called Songbase. The idea was like music NFTs, and then like base like Coinbase. So it's like Coinbase, but you swap the coin out with song, and like the thought process that early on. This is like before pre Bored Ape, Yacht Club, pre a lot of these things. A lot of people thought music NFTs were gonna be like the hottest, um, like use case.
Yeah.
And we started building that. It's just me and my brother-in-law, and then we outsourced some development that we found on like Upwork or some shit. And it wasn't really something I was too passionate about. I built a UI for it, and he built he gave the developers the instructions to do it. But he introduced me to Andy Grossberg, my brother-in-law did. And Andy was like an early Bored Ape Yacht Club owner. Like he bought at like
Nice.
0.4, I think. And I met him. He's 56 years old, maybe 57. I don't know, but maybe I shouldn't drop his age. Whatever. He's old. My brother-in-law connected me to him. He's saying, hey, like this guy, you know, he's working on some pretty interesting NFT stuff that's not like the music stuff. Like maybe we could talk to him and see what he thinks. I remember I met this dude on Discord, and I was, I don't know if he knows this, but I was actually like on like a sizable amount of mushrooms at the time. And yeah, I'm on Discord, and we're talking NFT with this random 56-year-old dude who's early NFT space guy, and he's got like a really bad mic. And I remember telling him, I'm like, hey, we have this music NFT idea, but I kind of want to do something that's more of like a brand, or more of like something that's like the Balenciaga of NFTs, or like something that's interesting. And we were talking, and I remember I ran the idea of Colony to by him, and I'm like, hey, I have this idea for Colony, and the first idea for Colony was, we're gonna basically reach out to these like B-list celebrities that I'm like somewhat connected to, and then get like a chibi version of them as an NFT walking around on a live website of like a 3D moon colony. And it was going to be 100 supply collection. And I was going to start.
Wow. Okay.
That was what Colony was initially going to be. It was a super limited 100 supply collection of like chibi versions of celebrities. Mm-hmm. This is pre like any of the PFP collection stuff. Like this is super, super pre all that. So, and he was like, that's a wild idea. And then he's like, well, have you ever seen Ready Player One? And I'm like, yeah, I have. And he's like, and this is like, my mind was blown. He's like, well, I worked on like The Sims back in like the early 2000s. And like some of the stuff that like Will Wright, who's like the game designer for The Sims, he's like, some of the stuff that he's working on is like, we really think that there's a potential with NFTs to be like a foundational layer of like this metaverse that people talk about. And I'm like, whoa.
People were talking about this before the apes were out?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Before. So no, we were going to launch Colony in July of last year, which is like, but basically this, I'll continue. It'll all kind of like, we'll get back to that. So basically I was still working on that music NFT marketplace, and then we start talking about this vision for Colony. It expands from celebrity chibi NFTs walking on a moon to, well, now there's like, we're colonizing the metaverse, and we're going to be the first colony in this world. And we're going to have all, like, basically we spent way too much time envisioning what the world could be. Like we spent easily a month just kind of like on recurring calls. Like long story short, I met Andy. We hit it off. We had several hour-long conversation the first time we met. And then I kind of just like gravitated more towards working with him than my brother-in-law. And I love my brother-in-law. It's just we had a different vision for what we want to do with the NFT stuff. The demo never really panned out for the music NFT marketplace. He's also very busy. He worked at a casino as a analyst. But yeah, so I met Andy, start talking. You know, Bored Ape Yacht Club comes out in late April, early May. And I remember when that happened, and I'd already known, I was like, I'm gonna start an NFT project on like as like a side project thing. And I remember I'm at Zion. I went to Zion. I went on a little vacation with my friend. We went camping.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to his grandparents' place in Las Vegas, and then we go camping in Zion National Park. If you've ever been there, super beautiful. Yeah, it's unbelievably beautiful, and I'm disconnected from the internet pretty much for a few days. And I get back from this trip, and I go on my NFT Twitter, and dude, it's like fucking apes everywhere, and it's like I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, dude, someone's like, hey, this NFT project, literally is like 6,000 of them out of 10,000 have sold out. And that was like mind boggling. It's like, wait, what is this? And then like you see the apes, and you could tell that these founders of this project put like an insane amount of thought into the congruency of the art and the traits, and how the world, everything maps back to the website. A lot of people don't know this, but a Bored Ape Yacht Club on their roadmap initially is, before they started working on Other Side, it was meant to be like a Club Penguin type of metaverse. It was meant to be like a 2D game. So I remember looking at all this, and I'm just like, holy shit, like there's going to be like a crypto NFT Club Penguin with apes. And like there's like a lot of like I remember just seeing that, and then instantly like talking to Andy weeks later, and Andy had an ape, and he's like, well, hey, like we don't have to build this huge music marketplace. He's like, you kind of got to pick one thing. Like he's like, really the most successful projects, and the way you look at things in life is you have to look at them as like beads on a necklace. So that was really good advice for me to hear, because I've always been the type of person to have like multiple things kind of like running at once. Like I've kind of like not really been focused prior. Like I've been focused, but it's hard for me to sustain my focus. I'll like get into something, move on to the next thing, kind of keep that thing kind of still on my mind, and then kind of like swing from one thing to another. He's like, well, pick one thing, like pick the music NFT marketplace, or pick Colony, or pick this thing, but you've got to like focus on one thing and then finish that, or at least set up systems for that to run itself, and then move on to the next thing. I decided when I saw Bored Ape Yacht Club and kind of what that had turned into, I decided to go all in, focusing on Colony. And then that's where we just started expanding the vision of what it could be. And we, where do we go from here? So we started the Twitter account basically after, so I acquired the Instagram username, just the OG. I don't know why, but I thought that was super important. We got the username on Instagram, Colony. And it's really wild. My friend owned that username that I used to play Xbox with.
Okay.
And he owned like OG gamer tags on Xbox, and he owned the Colony username on Instagram. So I bought that, was sitting on it for a little bit. We're talking about what we kind of want to do with the project. So to go from celebrities walking on the moon to something else, it kind of took a while. The main things that kind of stayed congruent from the beginning to where we're at right now is that the universe takes place on a moon, and that's thematically linked to crypto culture. So when something hits the moon, it kind of is a signifying like, oh, we've made it. Right. And we wanted this world to like, we really think that the metaverse starts on the moon. And like we're at the moon right now with the colonists. We're going to the moon, and basically like we built out this world. So like a lot of this came from his and my minds kind of meeting, but I would go as far as to say that I was putting a little bit more effort in than he was in those initial stages. And we got started in July on the earliest versions of the colonists, and we decided to do a generative PFP. Sorry, this is super unfocused. I've never actually told the story like this.
Dude, it's in perfect order. The only question I had was going to be, did you buy a fucking ape?
Oh yeah. So here's what happens, right? So we start like, cause I'm trying to like, there's so much crazy shit that happened this last year. I'm trying to like piece together what came first. So we started working on the art. Oh, okay. So it initially wasn't going to be a generative PFP. So yeah. I remember being a little bit against it at first, thinking that there was a little bit of a cash grabby feel to it. And we were trying to raise like a a seed round, like a friends and family investment round for $100,000. And I built like a pitch deck that, like, looking back at it now that we have like an actual pitch deck and we're like, we're at a completely different place in the project, but you know, it was jokes. It was like, I'm sure if anybody with any form of money was looking at that and is used to investing in startups, is just like, yeah, okay. But
That's awesome.
we set that up, and I was pitching it to people that I was building websites for, saying like, hey, like, you're going to invest in my NFT, and nobody even knew what the NFTs were at the
Oh
time.
God.
So we did that. I'm in a and at that same time this is early July. I'm in an NFT Discord called Slum Doge Billionaires.
Okay.
It has to be. It was basically, they made, if you look it up, they they came out before the Doge Pound. If you remember that NFT project,
I've got a Doge Pound,
the
bro. Fuck along with the Doge Pound.
Doge Pound, like, as far as I know, copied the art from
Oh
Slum Doge
shit!
Billionaires.
Oh.
So like, and then they'll say that the Slum Doge Billionaire copied them, but
Yeah.
basically, like, if you go and you look up, you could see it. Like, they minted out before Doge Pound.
Tell me
Look
what
up
they're called.
Slum Doge Billionaires.
It's a terrible name.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Slum Dog Millionaire, but like Slum Doge Billionaire. Um, listen,
It's a
I thought that was the next Bored Ape project
okay.
at the time. I
I
actually
found it.
aped the fucking for my financials at the time, for the amount of Slum Doges I bought, was a little bit ridiculous.
All right. So here's the
Yeah,
project,
that's
y'all.
so crazy.
I'm gonna
That's
say I do think, I mean, after seeing this, so this is what some of their stats are currently. But I will say that it does look very fucking similar, but the Doge Pound's art is tremendously a step or 10 above this level. But I mean, did you
yeah.
honestly, bro, with where we were at, this one easily could have been the next Bored Ape Yacht Club. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason that Bored Apes happened to take. But you didn't answer my question. Did you buy it? Did you end up buying an ape when they were popping off, or did you kind of just like skip over it?
No, I bought apes after. So dude, we'll circle back to that. I've owned like 5 apes over the
Wow.
course of the last year, but never all at the same time. The most I own at once is 3. Um, but we'll circle back to that. So we basically, I'm in that Slum Doge Discord, and if you go back in that Discord and you actually look at the chat, I mean, I actually don't advise that you do, but it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of foul stuff in there. I should probably do a sniff test on myself. But basically, like, there's a lot of project founders that came from that Discord. I'm
Interesting.
sure.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so me and Treasure Seeker met in there. So I'd already been talking to Andy, and basically at the time there was those 2 projects. There was Wicked Craniums and Slum Doge Billionaires dropped on the same day, and I remember I got into that project, and dude, it looked promising, man. Like, it was like really, they, for the time, they were pretty up there in terms of like the optic that they're
Yeah.
giving off. Turned out to not really pan out, and I don't think it was a rug. I think it was more like lack of experience, good timing, but lack of experience and lack of like situational awareness from the founders of the project, which is fine. I have respect for them. Kudos to them. It wasn't really meant to be a serious project anyways. But I met Treasure Seeker in there, and he basically, like, I'm on Twitter. I have like 30 followers at the time, and all I'm doing is tweeting about my Slum Doges that I bought. And then Treasure Seeker has like 60 followers, and it's the same thing. And we both
I
aped into
love
this project. And he has in his bio that he's a full stack Solidity and blockchain developer, whatever. And I'm like, yo, we need a blockchain developer for our colony project that we're raising a friends and family round for. Hit him up. We hop on the phone, and he's like, hey man, so I'm pretty sure the reason he had the funds to ape in the Slum Doge is because he was one of the first people to do smart contracts for NFT collections. So he's done, like, as far as I know, I think like 6 or 7 successful generative PFP mints.
Wow.
Um,
Nice.
which, I mean, that's and he has a whole fintech company. Basically, the Treasure Seeker, or if you look him up on OpenSea, it's treasures.eth. You'll be able to find him. He basically was one of the first reliable developers in space, and
You said
did a
treasures
lot of
ETH.
treasures.eth or Treasure Seeker on Twitter. But I linked up with him, and he talks me into doing Colony as a generative PFP like avatar project. He's like, hey man, like screw the seed round, just do these avatars. It'll take you a month or two to finish the art. And then this is when we started the art. So we started the art after starting the idea. I remember we had in our pitch deck initially that our characters were going to be like smoked out, like Toontown characters. That's what it was.
Okay.
And
that's the vibe I got when I originally saw your product. I was like, this reminds me of, I didn't play Toontown to the level that I probably should have for the amount I fucking remember. Like, it gives me so much nostalgia. I think I just like saw and heard about it growing up, but that's the same vibes I got. I was like, I think that's one of the reasons I like it so much. It gives me that nostalgic feeling.
that makes me happy to hear, because that's like the intention. Like we wanted to go Toontown, and then we basically I get talked into doing generative PFP, and then I like 2 days later, because everything moves so fast, I basically printed out the body outline and head outline of the colonists, and I had hundreds of sheets of paper, and I'm drawing out the traits, rushing, like literally, like I'm drawing out certain traits, and then what ends up happening is like that process gets a little bit too tedious, and then I start to entrust a lot of the art with an artist I found. So basically, I found some artists literally on Upwork, and these are one of them did another project prior to ours called Nude Colony NFT, and it's a pixelated NFT. I swear, man, we were looking for people who could do the art in layers that was meant for generative art, and like we talked to like literally on Upwork at the time, the guy who did the CyberKong's art, because CyberKong's wasn't pumping, he was selling his art as services on Upwork.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, like CyberKong's, like you know that project, right?
Yeah, I actually talked to Henry and Inverted the other day on a podcast. Super cool guys. Love that project.
Yeah, so the pixel artists from that, and like they basically are selling their services on Fiverr or
Very
Upwork.
Cool. Very cool.
Pretty wild, but there's a lot of people at the space, and that was a super small niche at the time. Now it's probably like so saturated. But yeah, so we find some people who we trust doing the art. One of them worked at an art museum in Miami, and he's like, hey, I'm like interested in doing this NFT stuff because we just brought a CryptoPunk into our museum, and this is like wild.
Wow.
And then we get them in, we give them like whatever. I'm not going to say how much we paid them. But they made them 5% each off of the mint. They did, it's a lot for artists at the time. So
a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, I think one of them might be retired because she lives in Brazil.
Well, dude, that's awesome. I mean, that's props to you, bro. You fucking retired somebody. That's cool as fuck.
Well, I didn't retire. I'm like the people who bought the project did. Like that's the thing, is like
that's true.
There's only so much stuff that's in my control at that time. Like I was in control of the project, and when we dropped it, the supply, the mint, I'll take credit for that. But we just got really lucky timing. Like there's so many things that just lined up. Like Alex Becker became aware of our project and literally with like just for free, just like gave us exposure, which like that guy's. I'm forever thankful for him, just like, just being a G. Like we talked over the DM, and I told him kind of what the vision for the project was when it happened. And he saw us on Twitter. I think we might have replied to one of his posts, and he's like, yo, you guys actually look legit. And we're like, thanks, man. We talked a little bit, told him the vision. He's like, yeah, I think this is a good direction. He's like, I'm happy to share your guys's like mint link when you guys go live, all this stuff. Like I'll try to buy some. That's as simple as it was. And like what's crazy is that he is trying to connect his wallet to our site, and I think he was using a hardware wallet. Our minting didn't allow for hardware wallets to mint colonists, so he was trying to get like a boatload, and he couldn't actually get them. So there were some interesting things, but we we go. That was we finished the art. We decided to drop the project as soon as the art was finished. Like we kind of lined it up. Like basically the day before the project dropped, there was a bunch of issues with the pixel art. I spent 9 hours straight fixing on my end on Photoshop like certain glitches with the pixel art, and there still was some where there's certain things were overlapping, some things were in the wrong position, and it kind of freaked me out, and I stressed out, and I fixed it all. But yeah, we launched the project, pixelated avatars. We did like one species at a time.
Yeah, I
We
remember. I remember.
Yeah, we did the bears and then the apes, and then there's a rhyme and reason to that. And it's like thematic. You'll see when we launch our game, like there's different aspects of Colony that we wanted to do. Like we wanted to build something where sub communities can form throughout the project. So that's why the supply is so large.
Mm-hmm.
Is like one was we wanted to make something that was has a potential for ultra large community to form around it.
Yeah, you've got to have a lot of people. You got to have a lot of NFTs for that to work. So
yeah, so we have like there's some things that at the time that was our thought process. We wanted to make it very affordable, so we minted it for like 0.025 per colonist. Also, what's another aspect of this that I'm not touching up on? So there's low mint costs. Oh, we wanted enough capital to like really okay. So this is one thing. Like I was a little bit too generous with how much went out to other people on the team prior to the mint, because like you never know, these things are going to mint out prior. That was my main incentive for team members. So there's been some like overpayment to certain aspects of building the project. It's fine, it's water under the bridge, but only about half of it went back into the project, which should have been more. It was just that there was like think about it, the artists were getting 5%. You could probably do the math for how much everybody else is getting.
yeah.
But we made it work from there. Like we took the mint money that I was in my custody and reinvested it back into things immediately. So we started game development with a game developer named Stainless Games. That was one of Andy's connections, and they started building our game, and we worked with them for 4 months. And unfortunately, like, I'm not going to throw any shade. It wasn't right for us to work with them as a game development studio. It was too, wasn't right for us. There's too much going out and not enough coming back. So we decided to do in-house game development. And we have a team of 12 people. And luckily, so some of the mint money went to actually buying some Bored Apes. And then I got lucky and I like traded those and flipped them for profit, and then just reinvested it back in the project. But right now we're at a point where we have 12 full-time team members working on the game, and very talented individuals, all incentivized by equity for the most part in our company. So like
Very cool.
They're working hard building the game. We've been sharing sneak peeks. It's insane what we've been able to make. We have. I'm kind of rambling, but I basically like where we're at right now is like we minted out, and we've reinvested into game development, and it's for those of you guys that don't know, learning how to spend capital efficiently is like one of the skills. Yeah, it's it's a lot of pressure. Like I would definitely not recommend like smoking a lot of like you can't like I like you anything that kind of takes you out of the driver's seat is super stressful for me, at least. When you're feeding people and like there's pressure to like make like there's a lot of different forces, right? So there's people there's like I'm in a very interesting spot where there's people in the NFT community that want their NFTs to go up in value.
Sure.
then there's people or investors in our project or potential investors that want us to make money. And then there's people who want, like, there's people on our team who need to get paid and work on the project. There's all these different forces where you need to find like a harmony between everything, where everybody's kind of like singing the same song, I guess is the best way to say it, is like what benefits our community, benefits our investors, and benefits us as the project founders and team behind it. And that's something that as a 21-year-old is a lot. It's a lot to deal with, but I take it and like it's fine. It's like I'm in such a better place than I was before, career wise, and we're at a point with the project where we're on the cusp of launching some like really innovative things. And yeah, it's been a journey.
Dude, you sound ages older than 21 as far as maturity. I'm about to be 24 tomorrow, and the jump from like 19 years old to like 22, 23 is a massive difference in maturity, and no doubt you've jumped over hurdles to do the things you've done, because that's a lot of shit, to a lot of weight on your shoulders at 21 years old and 20 years old, basically, when you were doing all this shit with relatively no experience in this world, and going and hiring people, trying out partnerships. That's a whole entire thing on its own. So fucking props to you for that. What has it been like? Oh, actually, before I ask my question, this is so I don't know how much you watch my videos, but these glasses are like central to my brand. I wear these all the time, a little bit for like branding, so people notice me, they recognize the glasses, right? So I remember one day a long time ago, I was scouring the floor. I've got a bunch of colonists, but I found like my forever colonist here, and he looks like this because he literally, bro, what is this, dude? Like that is me. That is actually me.
This is sick.
And then when you guys come with the 3D, even better, bro.
Let's go. Yeah, dude. I think like so this is what is very exciting to me is like there's that colonist, right? Like we have some functionality coming, like, and this is I actually want to apologize to anybody watching this who's in our community. I speak about things way too early. So
Does your team get pissed at you?
Well, I wouldn't say they do it because so I would say that I kind of I'm weird in the sense that I want to share things early, but I also want things to be perfect. Yeah. So and this is something I'm working on, and like I hope nobody ever takes me too literally. And this is like I don't know. I just kind of like I want to clear this up. Like there's a lot of things that we are launching and we are working on, and I'm just an anal retentive like perfectionist because we're at a point now where I recognize like how much weight certain things we do has on like, because we have potential to catapult where we're from to where we're going, and it's like there's certain things that just aren't ready. But when they are ready, they'll be sick as fuck. But there's like, so like that colonist, right? The way I see it is like, you're like, oh, this one, I identify with it.
Dude, bro, don't fuck it up. I'm just kidding.
And I agree. But there's lots of things where you could make it identify with yourself more, but there's a fine line between too much and too little customization of a unique NFT avatar. So part of what makes a Bored Ape sick or a colonist sick is like it's one of one. It's like you're the only one who owns this thing, and nobody else can be just like you. You're unique, and it's kind of like DNA in the sense is like, regardless of if you're self-confident or not in real life, you're you, and nobody can take that away from you. You really don't want full-on replication of one individual to another. Like that's what part of the magic of generative art is that everything's unique. But I think that there's room for customization done in a very specific way. So like not where you can choose whatever you want, but something where you have room to. I don't want to share too much about how we see the customization piece of your colonist.
Yeah.
But I think there's something there, and we're working on something where potentially your colonist could become closer to like fully identifying with you, in the sense that like, that has all those traits, but then maybe it has like the Japanese spacesuit. Well, I don't know if you're Japanese, but
Dude, wait. Did you know that I'm half Japanese? Are you fucking with me?
Are you half Japanese?
I'm half Japanese. My mom's Japanese. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. Then maybe it does fully identify. No, I didn't know you're Japanese. I would never
Yeah,
know.
I'm literally half Japanese. Yeah, my mom's fully that entire side is Japan, and
I
then
can
one
see it
side is
now.
fully American. That's awesome,
I
dude.
can
Fuck.
see it. No,
Wow.
it's the hair that's throwing me off. It's like
Yeah. It used to not be. Let me show you what I looked like without long hair. This is 2 years in the making with this hair, but I'll show you a short hair one. Keep going. Sorry.
No. I want to see this.
That's a long time ago. Holy shit! It's a long time because stuff has short hair. Here we go. Oh fuck, that's a. I'll show that picture. Man, do I even have any photos from that long ago? Oh shit. Okay, here's one. These are so cringy. Don't judge me. I was doing a mock photo shoot with my friend. God, this is when I was like bodybuilding. I'm like thick as fuck here.
Dude, looking like a Giga Chad. Let's get it.
Funny as fuck. Damn, that's fucking
classic.
wild, dude. Yeah. Wow, very, very cool, dude. That's awesome. And you guys have always kind of, one thing that's been interesting, the one reason that I've actually there's not too many gaming projects that I'm in anymore. And I think it's because partially the branding that you guys have is a bit different. You guys also are you guys do like the weekly or like every 2 weeks, like an AMA. You guys are very big on the showing sneak peeks, keeping people up to date. Like people hear your voices, they know who you are. And that's not that common in the NFT space. Not that it's like a huge feat, but there's not really like an identity behind the product. It's just like a bunch of generative photos, and you guys have a little bit extra dimension. You're able to deliver on all the pixel art and then give 3D ones for free. They just kind of updated their metadata for that. And I think that that was like super refreshing in a good period of time. People had those NFTs for a while, and the 3D ones are fucking dope, dude. So it's been really cool following along. I've been here for a while,
No, I appreciate it. I mean, there's like it's, I don't know. There, like I said, I don't want to share things too early, but we have some very interesting things planned for the colonists that like span further from our roadmap than people really like. There's not a lot of correlation between some of the things that we're working on and what's on our roadmap, because I think having an element of surprise is important. I think that things like this where updating the metadata for free is like, that was a nuanced problem that we only understood as like how do we create the perfect profile picture for us that we think is dope. And that's kind of what the 3D colonist was meant to be. Is like, I personally I felt like the pixel art was a little bit rushed, and it had to be at the time. You have to get an MVP out in order for you to be competitive timing wise, because we could have dropped Colony a week later and it wouldn't have been the same outcome. People don't really know that at that time, that was a crucial time to start a project. And I think that it's really rare, because I see other projects at the same time, and I think we've had a natural I think that we're slowly increasing. There hasn't been any huge surges in excitement, because we don't try to design FOMO for Colony. It's kind of like, I think that puts a really weird pressure, and this is kind of selfish, it puts a weird pressure on me, because people look at me and they're like, this person's responsible for this collection because I'm the leader of the team. And I think what's worse than something never materializing is something that there's just so many people have gotten wrecked off of NFTs through just some whack behind the scenes influencer group chat shit that a lot of people don't really get. Is you can ride that train, that FOMO train, and get in something early and sell at the top, and it's all fun and games, but just know that you're not in control. You're not there hasn't been an instance in Colony, as far as I know, where we've really been subject to influencers wanting to pump our project. And also, if for context, if anybody's listening to this, the NFT space is a very there's an iceberg of things that people know and people don't know about how NFT projects work, and how prices go up, and how there's an NFT Illuminati for sure. And we just to circle this back to my main point is that with Colony, it's never the focus has never been on the price point of a colonist. It's always been on how do we make it so that when someone owns a colonist, that token is representing something valuable, regardless of the price. And you can't just print value out overnight. Like, it's very difficult. Like, you'll see a lot of projects they mint out, and then 2 months later, $1 million is gone because they did an event and they paid for this and that, and it's all based around hype and marketing. And then by the time you get into the weeds and you kind of really think about it, it's like nothing's really been built. So like for us, it's like all of our money is just going towards building stuff, like creating without sharing too much. Like we see what we're building as Colony and Colonists is the genesis of a bigger metaverse type play that doesn't isolate our community and only deliver value to them, but is something more so as a platform that the entire NFT space can interface with.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter you guys are working on some stuff with. I saw some Bored Ape stuff going on in there.
Yeah, well, if you own an ape, like, what are you gonna do? Like, what the big value add, from my experience with a Bored Ape, is token gated communities. So I've met my attorney through the Bored Ape Yacht Club Discord, and this dude is a legend. And it was through like a token gated group chat, and I think that's like, if you really look macro NFTs. So last year, there's conservatively about $17 billion in volume towards NFT projects from a consumer end. Out of the 17 billion, my honest guess is about 90% of that is basically sent towards avatar projects. So like PFPs, like Bored Apes, CryptoPunks. So people own these avatars, and the best use case of a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk right now is a profile picture. And there's a lot of depth to that, and I think that that's really important. And I think that you could build an identity around a voice, a username, a writing style, and a profile picture. And there's people who run projects in the NFT space that are not doxed, and that's what people use, is that identity, that trusted identity, to run it. That's also why I'm doing this interview with my profile picture and not my face, is because like this is me building a digital identity that can transcend a physical being, right? Like, there's hypothetically you don't really need a physical identity to link to myself in order for people to feel like they trust the project. Even though there is a physical identity. If you guys were to Google me, my full name, you'll find pictures of me. There's a LinkedIn, there's an Instagram. But where I was going with this is that the real value of NFTs, in my opinion, is right now is digital avatars, and attaching those to synonymous digital identities, and the connections and things you can build through those connections inside the space is pretty magical. Like, we're on like a like, there's something that's bigger than what exists right now that's trying to be created, and what we're doing in the NFT space is just, we're almost like to use an analogy, the way I look at, like, as a project founder, like just people buying into the space, it's, we're almost like we just landed into a rainforest and we have hatchets and we're trying to find somewhere to set up a camp. And like, it's not entirely clear what the end use case of these avatars is going to be. But right now, the profile picture aspect, the Discord, token gated channels, the social status associated with owning these avatars, these communities that form around projects, and cultures that are formed, and just connections. I think there's a potential for that experience to get deeper, and I think that people aren't really implementing it yet.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you're building for a world that doesn't fucking exist, and we don't even know what it looks like. We've seen a couple iterations of like the other side stuff, but who knows if that'll be here? I know a huge amount of people that I know don't think that Bored Apes will be here in 5 years. They think they're going to be the next Yahoo. They think someone else is going to replace them, and who knows if that's true or not. But we don't know if the metaverse will look like Ready Player One, if it'll even be like there might be something else that replaces it. Like right now, we're like not even in chapter one. We're like so beyond before anything starts. Like we're literally in the casino. Like NFTs, the reason no one wants, like no one who's in the normal world cares is because right now it's just a casino. Like there's nothing else going on. It's just there's people who are building, but like that's like 1% of people in NFTs. Everybody else is just like running around with their chicken with their head cut off, or they left, bro. Like I don't know if you saw the OpenSea daily volume. I just checked it today on my stream earlier.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's like nobody here right now. Everyone left. They're gonna come back, but they've left during this building series. So the only people left right now, if you're so people they let the people who are watching right now, the people who are on the team, on your team, who are in projects right now, like y'all are in the 1% of the 1% of the 1% left in NFTs. So props to all of us here. But we're building for a world that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, so I think part of what I try to do is try to build something that I would want to use.
Mhm.
I look at myself as the perfect consumer of the product we're building. So here's the thing, like going into the NFT space more seriously last year, and prior to that, the NFT space wasn't even really a thing. It was a few projects, but last year, listen, I met two team members through profile pictures and usernames, and we made a lot of money together, and we're building something really cool together. I want that for other people, and I don't think that Twitter and Discord as a tool are the most because you need to get to a voice interaction with somebody to really size them up and know what's going on. I think voice chat is super powerful. Like I'm a huge believer in Twitter Spaces as a platform, but there's a thing where there's like a barrier that needs to be broken through. So let's just say you go to a conference and you go to the Bored Ape Yacht Club stage. You're going to pretty much guarantee that the people in that audience, there's some overlap, and that's a great high value networking opportunity between people. Like everybody's pre-selected themselves, like I paid for this event, taking it serious.
Yep.
I'm listening to the speaker. You're able to make connections. So the thing is I've been able to make these good connections through the internet, that people are like going to these conferences for, and it's through owning NFTs. Like and even though like it seems insignificant, like I think I've learned how to use digital identity as a tool to network. Like the reason we met is because of this medium. Like obviously I'm dealing with your face and you're dealing with my profile picture, but we still have a voice and we're talking.
Yeah.
I think ways in which people can naturally like Twitter Spaces, you naturally meet new people because it's like it's a public forum.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that existed in a 3D virtual world where I could walk around with my avatar, and I don't think it should be limited to one project. I think it should be interoperable, and I think it should be like graphically beautiful, and that's what we're building. So we're kind of like, I think it's bad to predict demand, I think, but I feel an urge for a 3D social media platform that feels like Fortnite, or it feels like one of these things, because that's like I played Valorant. You played Valorant before?
I've played all the games. I suck at them, but I know the worlds. Like I understand like the gist of it.
Sure. Like I feel like I've met so many people playing video games, and to bridge the gap between my .eth and my digital avatar in those games. Like, when are we going to be in a world where I can play Fortnite as my colonist, or I can play Fortnite as my ape, or I could play Fortnite as a doodle, and Fortnite has a version of that doodle that fits the hitboxes of Fortnite. Or like, hey, how do I get a hover cart or like a go-kart that's an NFT, and how do I have that interface with Mario Kart? Like, I think these are questions that some people owning NFTs are going to start asking, and then people who are game developers, like, there's eventually going to need to be this interoperable expectation in order for this space to sustain itself. And I swear that's where it's going. Like, to circle back to Toontown and Club Penguin, like, those games shut down. I lost all my progress in those games, because the server shut down. And if you were to separate the user profiles and the items you earn and your progress from those game servers and put them on a blockchain, which didn't exist at the time, I would have still owned those things that I basically like mentally connected to like some sort of sentimental value.
Would it have held any real value, like monetary value, if the actual game had shut down though?
I think so. Like, I think a beta hat would. Like, I think certain items would. And we're already seeing this in, like, you see ENS names like the 0 to 999 club. You see, like, there's like a beta hat. There's only, as far as I know, 367 beta hats in Club Penguin, or maybe 3,000, but a very small amount. And if you walked around in Club Penguin with a beta hat, you were pretty much like the shit, right? Like,
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So I've always loved that. Like, I've loved like having an OG username on Xbox and like people being like, yo, what the fuck? Your username is tissues, or like your username is like some random shit like that. It's like, always trying to stand out digitally. Like, that's always been my goal. And like you said Club Penguin NFTs would eat, no doubt. That's facts, bro. That's facts. But I'm a core believer in that. So I mean, there's a couple problems that need to be solved. You need to create ways for somebody to earn NFTs that are exclusive and rare, and that like there's a lot of these things that the space has backwards right now. Like you said, it's the lottery, it's gambling. We just want to so long story short, what I want to create is a platform that somebody's Toontown character or their Club Penguin character, after the game's shut down, well, at least they can play in our game. At least they can.
I see.
Like, that's the goal. It's kind of like the train station in Wreck-It Ralph, where everybody can go in between their games. I think that's what's lacking, and I think that there's a lot of interpretation for that. So like, I think that's kind of what OpenSea is right now, to an extent, even though they're like a central platform. Like, I think there's a lot of room for these NFTs have a lot of potential, and there's fuck, dude, I'm because we're so early in the space. They're so hard to grab words to describe what I'm trying to communicate, but I think that there's a need for a blockchain-based social media platform, and I think,
dude, Jack Dorsey's fucking making that right now. You heard about the Web5 thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of people building. I think that I think it's not going to look like Twitter, though. I don't think.
What do you think it's going to look like?
I honestly think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a game. I honestly I don't. It's hard for me to wrap my head around what someone else would want, but for me, it's like, have you ever played an MMO before? With a companion app?
I don't think so. I bet the majority of people have, though, who are gamers.
Probably not. I don't know. Basically, like, MMOs are like, if you know what an MMO is, like a RuneScape or a World of Warcraft, and
where you're building inside.
Well, so we'll get to that, but like you get these games where you do everything that person's life revolves around is existent in that game. And that the issue with this concept with the metaverse is that, you know, the internet as is doesn't distract people from real life as much as it supports and adds context to it.
That's true.
So, you know, I'm addicted to Twitter, I would say, but
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too.
I'm not like it's to kind of support my natural interests. And
Yeah. No, I agree.
and I think like the metaverse, this concept is somewhat broken. Like, of it, there needs to be this addictive gameplay loop inside of it, because I think life is the gameplay loop. Like, let me like the gameplay loop of the NFT space is to make money, flipping NFTs,
Yep.
that or mint out a project, or there's a lot of different ways, but there's no game. Like, it's kind of just a money making game,
Exactly,
and
dude.
yeah, so it's a slippery slope, because this is why this space is so sketchy. Is like the easiest way to make money is through a Ponzi scheme. It seems like an unregulated market, especially when
Yes.
you're dealing with pseudonymous identities. So, you know, we have NFT space with people with money and people flexing on each other with digital avatars. I think this is the gameplay loop. As fucked up as it is, I think the space has been around long enough for someone to recognize that if you own a CryptoPunk or you own a Bored Ape, you're gonna get more attention paid to you than just on surface value, if you're not
Yep.
judging anything else, than what you're saying, right? So, I think, to circle this back to what my point I'm trying to make is, I think that Twitter doesn't really do the best job. I think Twitter is used in combination with Discord to get the highest best use out of your NFT avatars. And I think that the true solution is going to be a 3D application. Um, and if we build it, cool. If somebody else builds it, even better. Less work for us. But like,
Yeah.
it's going to be a 3D application where you can access Twitter and Discord from within that app. But you can still, like, you're interfacing with those applications through something else. So like, how do I put it? Man, it's hard to wrap my
That's
head
tough to
around. So like,
explain.
so we have what we're building is there's certain things in our game that we're building that are interesting. Like, we're thinking like, okay, well, people are going to be playing our game and they want to access Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, if they're on their computer, they might pull up their phone, but some people are going to want to be on their browser on their computer. Well, they're going to tab out and go to Twitter. Well, what if it was more, we've thought like what if it's more delightful for that user to access Twitter from the game? So like, what if you pull out a phone out of your pocket and you're able to use our game as the GUI for you interfacing with social media? And then we're like, well, you could gamify that. Like, there's all these different aspects that, you know, I think that we can get closer to a truly NFT native social platform by using kind of like video game user interface and user experience design. And I think that's the next step.
Yeah.
But
It's then,
it's
but that's the thing. Like, you're right. That's the next step. Like right now, well, right now, apparently this is the real question if you can queef. But the real reason that it's so hard to explain right now is that this is not the reality yet. Like, it's impossible to come up with an explanation because it doesn't exist right now. We're not even in the state of mind for someone who's a human being trading NFTs. For 99% of people, they're just here to make the money. Like, a good example of this is today. Cool Man Universe came out and they did a huge announcement. Basically, they went from we have a concept of an NFT project, we have the concept of a brand and a story and an artist that's pretty famous. He's seen a lot of success. His project's doing really well. Their big announcement was, okay, like we've been bought out, or not bought out. We've been we're starting like a real show, like a legitimate show. It's going to be like the brand's basically going to accelerate from here on. That's the big announcement. But that didn't return people immediate ROI. So the floor pumped and then immediately sank right when he made the announcement. It tanked like by 20%, and then it like did a little bit of a recomp. But like the fact that nobody cares, like they only cared to sell the news. That was the only reason people were excited about the news, because they're like, oh my god, if he pumps this up, fantastic. But that was literally it. And because that's the state of the market right now, for someone to be like, oh, like we're so excited to like build this thing, if people aren't hearing you also get $200,000 by using it, they're not even gonna get out of bed for it. It's like, it's fucking insane. Like the crypto and NFT market is built 100% on that theory where it's like you can sell something to someone else dumber for a higher price. And like that's the only thing people link NFTs to. And that's why my whole NFT or my whole channel isn't really focused on the market as much. It's more focused on the industry as a whole, because I know the industry will mature. You know, crypto has matured. It's still relatively like in the beginning stages, I'd argue, but it's been around for a few years. You know, if you bought Bitcoin at $10, it's very different than buying Bitcoin at 40K or 50K or whatever. But I think just right now we're not in the mindset yet. So everyone who's building right now, that's why it's so hard to explain, because there's no way to explain it.
Yeah, it's well, we have our colony like Discord community, and I think our conversations get deeper when we're playing games together, video games. But the thing is that our avatars that we're talking to each other with, that are car colonists, they don't transcend to the game. Sure. So we have demos of what's currently called Colony. So like we play Colony, and when you first load up a world where you can play as your full body avatar, it's just a really, it's like a event horizon, right? I don't know if you can't, you probably never experienced this, but like me playing as a colonist inside of our game and walking around and jumping, and the mechanics feeling smooth, and seeing it like very high quality graphics, and knowing it started off as a randomly generated pixelated avatar, that I think like could create additional value for the entire NFT space. If you purchase any NFT and you know you can now use it in this like in a world that everybody else is playing. This hasn't happened yet, but I think there's a lot to be said about, you know, probably over half the projects, they've all alluded to the metaverse, right? That in some sort of thing. And I think that there's the collective consciousness doesn't lie when we are going towards something, and like there's an undeniable like shift and push towards this. I think it's like a societal gut feeling that something is going to happen, but we just don't know what it looks like yet. And I think that there's a lot of people making a lot of money telling a lot of other people that they have the sauce, and we just don't want to be those people. Like that's the thing that sucks is like, what doesn't suck is like we want to be the people who actually provide tangible value. Like I want somebody to think of us and think of like, well, the whole NFT community is bullshit, but well, you know, at least these guys are trying to create value, right? Or like maybe like, well, at least these guys built something that is tangible and it creates real value for people, or whatever. Like the thing is like I agree with a lot of the criticism on the NFT space, and I actually especially get lumped into those same conversations with our project, because it's just the nature of just being, it's the law of association.
You can't escape it. And I see Architect's having a whole conversation with himself right now. I haven't smoked before, so I don't know why you think I got the munchies. Or oh wait, I guess I would be smoking maybe later. And then he said, "What's your favorite strain?" I actually like. You said you stopped smoking weed. I've actually kind of seen the same situation like for myself. Like I can't smoke nearly as much as I used to. I used to smoke a whole lot, and I still go through little phases where I'll smoke more than I usually do, and then I'll have to completely cut it out. But for me, it's really difficult. Like if I have weed in the house, it's gonna get smoked. It's gonna get smoked, and probably faster than I should. But I don't have a favorite strain, dude. Like I like sativa, but I don't have like strains. Like I don't know the names. Like some people are like, oh, I only go with like drive home late at night, and they had like all these weird names, like drive home late at night and get drunk and punch someone in the face strain. And I'm like, what the fuck? I've never heard any of those. But do you have a favorite strain?
Dude, if I smoke, it's like indica.
Indica.
Yeah, just like I don't really like the head high from sativa anymore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't. I've kind of grown out of smoking weed a little bit. Like currently, I'm just really I I don't feel comfortable. Like which is you want to be uncomfortable, but it's uh it's like a weird. I feel like I come out of it and I don't get anything from it, and that's
Oh yeah,
like a
every time,
problem for
bro.
me.
Almost every time. Yeah. I think there's like various there's some like ways like if you're with someone and it's gonna maybe open up a little bit easier flowing conversation, especially if someone's not comfortable talking for a long period of time, they're like a little bit like holding back or something like maybe a little bit can help. But if you smoke too much, like yeah, you're fucked. And almost 1 out of 10 times am I like, oh fuck yeah, that was a really good decision. That was a really good move by me to smoke that weed. Most of the time I'm just like, fuck me, I just wasted like an entire afternoon, like an entire afternoon. Like yesterday, I did that shit. I smoked just like I had a little joint, and I was excited because I just bought it. I hadn't had a joint in a while, and I went and smoked. I literally took like 3 puffs, and I just like forgot how much when you don't smoke that's a lot. And man, I walked home, and I don't remember that walk home. I got here, and I passed out in my beanbag, and I woke up at midnight, and I was like, oh wow, fuck me.
Yeah, dude. I used to smoke like religiously, and that was back in the day. But it's weird because like I had less problems back then. Like I would say that the more like quote unquote successful I get, and the more momentum is being had, it's like I'm just putting more. Like I'm one of these people where if I'm not like the best at something or actively pursuing being the best at it, I feel uncomfortable. Like it's like a
Mm,
like I would say I'm just like very like unhealthily competitive with everything. Um like probably to the point where it's like annoying,
So
but it's
is it like competitive with yourself, or do you see other people and like do you have like people in your head that you're like I have to beat them, or is
myself.
it just like yourself?
It's myself. It's never with other people. Like I think that it's I yeah, I know I don't have like enemies or like we don't want to like be better than these people. I think that or like try to make them not succeed. Like I
Hmm.
think I'm never trying to like be better than somebody and like humiliate someone. Like that's horrible. Like I think
Hmm.
part of it comes from I grew up skateboarding, and it's a very individualist activity, and you don't have to like for you to be good at that. It's you're not being compared to anybody else. It's kind
That's
of like
true.
how good you are on your own, and you're being judged as an individual. um I want to be like the best at what I feel like I'm being put on earth to do, and like that's what I care about the most is just being myself and making sure that whatever it is that I'm meant to be doing and it feels comfortable, that I'm doing the best, and that's how I derive happiness from just like on 4th of July, like I was working. Like I like to work.
Same.
I actually find like I'm less stressed out when I'm working on something than I am when I'm not. Like if
Yeah.
I'll be out and like be thinking like, dude, I just want to go home right now, and or I want to go to the office, or there's just so much stuff that I could do, and it's yeah, it's just a way of life. I think that's how I like it, and
Yeah. How was that the transition? I remember when you guys made that post, you're like, guys, we just fucking we're in an office. How was that?
so okay, so that what happened is I was I was working from home, um and that there's like a mental shift that I looked into, the difference for like working at home versus working in the office. Like it was a pretty calculated decision that we made. So we never really had in-person team members until a couple months prior to that point.
Yeah.
But it would so that wouldn't really make any sense. But separating the physical space from for where you work and for where you kind of just chill or you party or like you hang out and like eat dinner or whatever, it's super powerful because um, you kind of I'm trying to put my finger on it. It's a mental shift. It's like when you go to the gym. It's hard to work out in your bedroom and get
It's
a good work.
impossible, bro. It's literally impossible. I've tried so many times. I can't. It's not the same. You can't hit. You can't. It doesn't hit. You can't work as hard. I totally agree.
Yeah, that's well, to circle this back to like the conversation of the metaverse, right? It's like to get like, you know, certain conversations, it's all about the setting, right? It's all about the medium of where the message is being relayed. And I think like right now, me and you are gonna have a different conversation than we would have if we were, you know, in person, doing something else. I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
I know that this is going to be listened to and it could be referenced in the future. So I'm careful with what I'm saying. And you're saying certain things. And, you know, there's certain mediums where, like, if I'm working in an office or I'm working at home, for some reason, the change of setting just alters my productivity and it changes my mindset. So, you know, it doesn't mean I can't work from home. It's just I work more efficiently when I have a physical space. And also, like, the team that we have in person on the project is like, it's really good. We have a really good, I would say that we're building a really good internal culture of our company. And like, I think that was a great decision to make. But yeah, I mean, like we might end up getting to a point where, you know, the best place to meet people digitally might be a 3D virtual world. Like when it happens, it's going to happen. Like, and I don't think it's ready yet, but you know, we could see that, like, you know what collab land is, right?
Yep.
You know, when you go on Discord, you connect your wallet. Like, collab land's the closest thing we have to this idea coming to fruition. Like, imagine there's a 3D world where you need 10 million dollars worth of crypto in your wallet, and you could access this room, like, and you could token gate that, and it happens digitally. You don't need to physically move to the same location. And then now you're dealing with a digital identity, right? It could be a username, and a PFP. And you, like, you know, think, if you really think about that, the power of that's never happened digitally. What type of things would spawn out of that, is really gnarly. Like, I wonder how many, like, yeah, like, social networking on the internet is not in its final form.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So we
totally
have
agree.
Thoughts on Floydy's NFT?
I have no idea what that is.
Listen, I won't even Google it.
A Floydy. Sorry, Johnny. Johnny Truth Love. I have never heard of a Floydy. I imagine it's probably nothing. To be honest, it's probably some random. Like, every time someone asks me that kind of thing, it's usually a project that's got like 1.1 ETH traded volume, and I've never heard of it. And there's like a bunch of people screaming about it. But who knows? Maybe it's a good project. Also, someone one time was yelling at me about My Pet Hooligan, and I thought it was just some random ass project. And then I finally checked it out, and I was like, oh shit, this project's legit. But it's a different kind of project, dude. Like the PFPs and like a project like the Colonist. I mean, the Colonist is I guess it is a PFP project, but also y'all are actually, you guys have always been kind of like building toward the metaverse. I was never really think. Oh, he says, trust me, it's really popular. Maybe I'm wrong here. But I was gonna say, oh yeah, do you have anyone that you should look up to, that you take inspiration from like a business side, or like people that you look up to, like role models?
That's a tough one. I wouldn't say any individual I look up to in the sense of like, I want to be like that person. I've kind of moved past that mindset. Like, it never really served me well when I tried to emulate another person. It's like always led to like a negative outcome in some way. I'd say, like, so I think Kanye West and Kid Cudi are, when I was going through tough times, like, I think you could say a lot about the quality of a product is if it could get you through tough times. So like the music, and the creative like outputs of Kanye West and Kid Cudi, and like even I've never met these guys, and like maybe when I meet them in person, they're gonna be different. But the mental picture I painted of those two individuals kind of like inspired me to think that anything's possible. Um, but I've always grown up like my dad's a role model for sure. You know, he always told me like anything I set my mind to is possible. Even though it's not true, but like that like is the mindset of anything is possible is like, you know, I would definitely say that my confidence is like stupid high for how good I am at things. Like I'm not good at a lot of things, but my confidence allows me to get like in a mindset of like improving quicker. Like I think the quicker you could get past the like imposter syndrome stage of a new skill of like, okay, I'm learning when I was learning web design, it's like there's these mental barriers that your ego is attached to. And I think that like the shit that Kanye West is able to accomplish and you actually really dig into his starting point, it's pretty remarkable. Because you know, I listened to a Kanye West interview and I'm like, I'm not thinking like this is a very smart individual per se. Or okay, I take that back. I would say he's smart, but like, that's not something that stands out.
Sure.
I think like this is somebody that's believes in himself more than anybody else believes in him.
Agreed.
And that's the I think that's one of the most important things you can have is like maybe the validation came from other people and then it's like a you don't really know like I actually, you know, I take that back. He's probably been that confident his entire life, but you know, like that mindset of, you know, like the having the world, like the mindset of the world revolving around you, and it is there's two sides to it. Like you don't want to be selfish and only focus on yourself, but you need to like recognize who you are and be okay with being yourself, and then like just be super confident in what you're doing. And I honestly just think that through Kanye West, um, like that vibe is kind of like stuck with me. Of you know, like I've always been kind of like what's the word? Like a little bit of an outsider on
Mhm.
like certain social groups. Like I remember in high school, I had a good time. I was like one of these kids that was like in the popular kid crowd, but I was never really like center of attention. As more so kind of like never really found my clique of people. Like I
Yeah,
did,
me
but
too.
yeah, at the same time I didn't. It's like I could only fit in for so long with a group of people until I just couldn't fit. Like I've almost like needed to create my own tribe of people, and
That's what
I,
we
I need
fucking did, bro. That we both did that shit. I think it comes from that same thing because a lot of people in our position, if they're a creator or a founder, a lot of them have a similar outlook on life. They had a similar upbringing in that sense where they're kind of a little bit of an outsider. So that's interesting.
yeah, it's like I think part of it's creating what you wish existed for you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
like it, there's pieces of there's pieces of that come through, and Hunter used to bully me back in high school. Listen, man, if I bullied anyone, it was out of pure insecurity
Yeah,
and me just being bullied by somebody else. It's like a domino effect, and that's actually true for a lot of
it
people.
is. It's very
Yeah.
true.
So yeah, but I mean, it's just creating something I wish existed. So you know, like I I'm like I've tried making music. Like there's a lot of things I've tried doing, and I wouldn't say I'd fail. I just never saw it fully through. Um,
Mhm.
I learned technically how to do certain things and then kind of move on. But the Kid Cudi, we'll move on to another inspiration. I think, man, it kind of moves. There's always people to learn from. I think the founder of Uber is super sick. Like that recently, I've been really diving deep into that idea. Like I've probably watched every Uber founder interview like 3 times over because the thing is like the Uber founder had exited from a company prior for
Mhm.
not that much money, and the so he done something like a peer-to-peer file transfer service or application or something like that. And then when he started Uber, there was just like a stickiness to it where there was no option but for it to become the new framework that impacted the world. And same with Google. Like there's not a lot of stuff on the Google founders, but there's something to be said that the initial like DNA of something is more important than any marketing you put behind it,
Yeah.
because it just has a stickiness to it. Like it's gonna regardless of what effort you put in. Uber is just all it needed. It was infrastructure and bypassing some laws, and it just became a global phenomenon. Like Uber changed the framework of how we transport people from place to place. You press a button on your phone and you're fucking like you're going, you press a button and move a few feet and you're picked up and you're dropped off. And
Yeah.
it's a taxi
It's pretty
service. It
crazy.
existed. Go, wait, my bad. You cut out.
I was just saying it's fucking crazy that like how fast that like it's you're right. It's the idea that's got to hit. It's actually got to be something. Where you hear the first idea and you're like, oh fuck. It's just one of those. There's not that many of those ideas, but when they do come, they crush. They like absolutely destroy anybody and everybody.
Yeah, I think that's like Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Like you think of this, when you try to describe it to somebody, it's, hey, I own a Bored Ape and I'm part of the yacht club.
Yep.
That's the core focus. Like if we're like to meditate on that, you really just think about it. A yacht club exists, and if you own it, you're part of it. It's a very simple concept, very easy to explain. There's stickiness to that concept.
Yep.
It's like the perfect formula. Also, like there's, if you go into culturally why that name was great, apes. Bored Ape is similar to Bathing Ape. Bathing Ape has a streetwear, like even Bathing Ape entering NFTs has way less pull than Bored Ape does. Like there's a lot of things. So, but yeah, like to circle back, like why I even brought this up. I think like Uber. I looked up the Travis Kalanick quite a bit, from the standpoint of just like the like. I don't think this was intentional. I think he recognized a good idea, but taking what we're building right now and then trying to modulate it into something that has stickiness, where we just accidentally go stupid viral and provide value for everybody. That's my core focus. So, and a lot of that it's pretty indirect, but like people say, like, what is the next Bored Ape Yacht Club, the next OpenSea? I think you need to recognize a current market problem and create a very delightful solution for the current problem. And there is a lot of problems in the market right now, and there's not. I think I think it's very in front of us. I think that a lot of these things are in front of us. Like Uber, the issue is it's a matter of infrastructure and what we can do with the current technology. And a lot of these ideas that people are talking about with the metaverse, their infrastructure is not there yet. Like, simply put, the infrastructure is not there yet for blockchain gaming. I've spoken to some experts on this, that are like very, very, very intelligent when it comes to where the space is. We're probably 15 years away from blockchain making its way to mainstream games. In the words of like people who are actually behind like stupid funded blockchain technology companies.
From being as like good as the real games are right now, because I think that they'll probably start earlier, or people will start to get on board, or even
We've
sell
already
NFTs
started.
toward it. Yeah, we've started. It's just going to take. I mean, I think the culture, like as far as people like buying into the idea, might happen faster. But as far as it coming to fruition and being that product that people are excited to actually play, yeah, I think you actually may be right. Maybe it may be longer than people think for it to be one of those things that people actually do on a daily basis and actually utilize, and is like
Yeah.
good.
Well, we ran into this problem like when we were working with our previous game developers. They how do I say this? They weren't ready for the vision we had for blockchain, how we integrate and how we So they were thinking about the blockchain aspect is like we slap it on like it's a sticker, like, oh, this game MMO, and then boom, sticker, blockchain. We're gonna do whatever blockchain solution is, whatever. Like there's a lot of nuance to this that people don't really think about. So let's just say we were to do Colony as a blockchain game, and we wanted to create a scalable solution. So we wanted to have a game that's blockchain bound, and we put most of the game processes, like resources you own, like they basically what you'd imagine, like putting the whole game on the blockchain. You're gonna need like one of these custodial separate blockchains that are more centralized, and it's taking a step backwards because like why not just throw everything on a MySQL server? Why not just do everything centralized if you need to bridge your NFT out of the ecosystem in order for it to have to be on OpenSea, right? Like there's like we to kind of allude to how crazy the solution was that we were initially contemplating on implementing. These people wanted us to take the entire Colonist NFT collection, and if you wanted to play as your character in the game, you had to burn your NFT, and then it was recreated in a new collection on their blockchain. That then, if you wanted to take it out, you would then remint it in a new collection back on mainnet. Like if you just think about how bonkers that is, it just doesn't make any sense. So there's a lot of these companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars in the blockchain gaming space that have ass backwards solutions to problems that the infrastructure simply is not there yet. And I think where we have right now is we have Ethereum layer 1 with a lot of NFTs, a lot of liquidity, and a lot of things that we could do with them, using central servers, using current infrastructure to start to really build the groundwork and the user experience that when the tech is there, it will be able to instantly transfer over. Like you could move a game from, without going a little too deep into the weeds, there's a lot of things right now that we could utilize, and we have the technology for, that aren't being built. They aren't being implemented, and it's I don't know what it is. I think it might just be like one of these things for like the solution for a lot of these problems is right in front of us. How do we circle this back to something that's a little bit more focused? We're almost at 2 hours. I'll probably peace out at like, if it's cool, like 7:15ish. I don't know if that's fine with you, but
totally fine. We can always bring you back on for another pod. Honestly,
I'd love it. Yeah. I need to start
sure.
doing this more often. I think it's good to I'm like not the best public speaker, but I want to get in the mindset of speaking to larger groups of people through a digital identity.
Dude, I think you're doing a great job. I think you've kind of said your bit as far as like how you feel about the project and what you guys have actually accomplished really well, really eloquently. And I think also when we do a second round, we won't have to go. You won't have to like explain the whole story again. We can kind of dive into like some specific things that we want to talk about, especially like if the colony has like some kind of thing coming up. Like that's kind of how I'm staging this show. Like I brought on like literally any project I've probably had their founder on. And we kind of talk about whatever. And then I'm always like, look for another round if you guys want to come back on. If you guys have some event coming up or an announcement coming up, it's like a great option to come back. Almost like a late night show where we come on, like part of the focus is on like what's coming on, then part of the focus is just on like whatever else. So I definitely think we can do that.
Yeah, we can. I want to drop some stuff in here. So, and I know not that many people are listening from our community. I don't know how many people listen or will listen, but since we're towards the end, yeah, so here's what we have right now, right? We have, if you own an ape, you own a cool cat, you own a doodle, you own any NFT on Ethereum, you can log in to our game and play right now. So that's what we built. We're really close to launching a demo. We're doing a stealth launch pretty soon. Hopefully in the next 30 days. But essentially the way we actually, I can't share this. Okay, basically we're launching something really soon, and we're really close to having a QA testing, pre-alpha testing period, and we are going to be launching the game under a different name. So we, how do I allude to this? Basically, I think of Colony as a brand. Our whole team thinks of Colony as a brand. We've talked into other projects of in the space that are interested in our technology and how we could bring their avatars to a game, because like really we might be the first 3D game where someone with a dead head or someone with a whatever would be able to log in, not have to do anything other than download a small game file and then play as their avatar in 3D and socialize.
Cool.
Like, even though that's a simple thing, it's wild it doesn't exist yet, because there's no competition. Nobody's really even requested it. I mean, people have, but it's something that we throw so far in the future that I don't think anybody's really thought about building it. So with the current technological infrastructure that exists, that's what we're building. And we're going to be launching pretty soon a testing period, like a demo, if you will. And people will be able to talk verbally. They'll be able to talk with text chat. They'll be able to walk around with their avatars in game, and there'll be a few collections that will work at the beginning, and then those are our official partner collections, and then there'll be more over the course of the next few weeks, and next few months, the next few years.
Dude, that's fucking legendary. I mean, there's a couple other projects who are working on metaverse stuff, but I don't know if they're 3D specific. And also, like, if you look at like Meta or something like Facebook Meta, I don't think fucking anybody wants to use them. Like, if we can use someone else, I think we will. Like, I don't think people want to work in Meta.
They're not NFT interoperable. So
yeah,
there's this is a long topic. Also, it's a VR platform. So
it's true.
Like, I'm not a big fan of VR in its current form. I've never really, it doesn't have, like I keep saying, stickiness. It doesn't have stickiness to it. Like you use it and you want to take it off. Like that's the thing. With NFTs have stickiness. NFT avatars have stickiness. In a way, NFT avatars are a product in and of themselves. It's just they're a little bit more open source. But Facebook has their own avatars. People don't really know that. Snapchat does as well. They have the
that is true. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they have their avatars, but we don't really think of them as avatars because they're not NFTs. You don't own them. There's no sentimental value that you connect to your avatar. An NFT, that changes the game. You own your avatar. It's this mental jump. It's a switch. Yeah, it's a switch. Exactly. It's a switch where this is now potentially your identity. Someone could attach your voice to this picture, and there can be a long-term trust built between avatars. Decentralized digital identity. I hope one day I have the technical, I hope I have the knowledge and the time to write like a paper on this, because I think decentralized or digital identity, for that matter, digital identity is separate from your physical identity. I think that there's something like so like mind-blowing about just the connections that I've made. Like, I've made so many friends on the internet, and those friendships in a way are deeper than what I've been able to accomplish in real life. On certain levels, they're more shallow in other levels, but on certain levels, it's like the lack of a physical presence allows you to be more candid with people. And if we want a society where the truth is being talked about, you need an outlet. Like, you need to have multiple identities. Everybody needs to have their Clark Kent and their Superman. And it could be the difference between a physical and a digital, or you could have multiple digital identities. Like, why is it the same Facebook profile that you share your family stuff, like you getting married? This shouldn't be connected to your work, and also shouldn't be connected to your games. But like, eventually we're going to have one application that eats all of them, right? Like, it happened in China already with WeChat. So there's going to be platforms where everybody's going to use the same platform eventually. I think it's all going to exist in one platform. we're already seeing it happen. If you go on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, everybody has reels. They all have this like we know what addicts people. We know what people care about. Long story short, I think people are going to have multiple identities that they interface with other people with. And I think that human beings are perfect for that. I think that we could manage, and I think it's almost like in our human nature to show different versions of ourselves to different people.
Yeah, you got different faces for different shit, different friend groups. I totally agree.
Exactly, and it's like it doesn't have to be the same identity. It it makes more sense. Like it just makes more sense for me at least to have multiple identities and not have them connect and overlap in any sort of way. Because like you want to be like, let's just say like I want to play video games and I want to be kind of like I want to say something reckless, but I'm in a position where I
You
can't.
can't.
Yeah, like if I say something reckless right now, it might haunt me, right? So, but that's a truth for me, right? Like I want to say certain foul things that just come up in a private conversation digitally, and when you're playing video games and you're using a different identity, there's a lot, and there's just a lack of depth, and I think blockchain solves a lot of these problems. There's a lot of issues with that in of itself, but there's a lot of problems that are going to be solved. But yeah, we're that's the future I see. Is digital identity and allowing people to, especially in a digital economy, regardless of if the economy that exists digitally, like there's these like fake economies popping up like Axie Infinity, and like they're kind of, for lack of a better word, they're like it's like kind of like turned out to be a Ponzi scheme, or it's just an unsustainable model at best. And these things, eventually there's going to be sustainable digital economies. You're going to be interfacing with them with the digital identity. You're going to want to separate that from who you are physically. So these are things that are going to be super apparent. To circle back to when I was saying we have a demo launching and we're using a different name. So Colony is meant to be more of like a brand and an IP in a world. We're actually in the trademark application process, and we've purchased all the like internet domains necessary for. We're actually going to be titling our name NFT Chat instead of Colony. So that's what's going to pop up. Our Twitter, we don't really post anything on there just yet, but it's at NFT Chat on Instagram and Twitter, and it's nftchat.app. There's nothing live there right now, but the idea is the same world that we're building for Colony and the colonists. We have the infrastructure to build those same types of worlds for other NFT collections, and we're already doing that. So we have some partner collections where we're building chat rooms for them, and their avatars we'll be able to log in. But that's kind of the jump we're making. It's a business decision. It's also from like very like harsh critique from like advisory and like early investors, people who are very keen on the project. But so we're separating Colony, the brand, from NFT Chat, the 3D social platform for NFTs.
It's probably smart to do now before it's too late too.
Yeah, like the Colonies, it's a world, right? It's a brand community. But we see Colony like thematically. If we circle back, like the conversation I was having with Andy when we first started the project is like, we're creating the colony of the metaverse, of the colonists. And like, we see NFT Chat as this bigger, larger than life platform that could exist for the use case of networking with your digital avatars. And that could be home to games. It can also be home to just decentralized social networking. But anyways, we haven't done any big launches there. We're working on some announcement videos, teaser trailer, etc. We have some partner collections that have been keeping it a little bit under wraps. But since we're on a podcast, and I'm sure there's not too big of an audience in here, I think it'd be cool to kind of give you guys that alpha before
Nice.
everybody else.
Yeah, that's
But
legend right there. Fuck yeah.
yeah, so I mean, just to ask you a question, like, what's your, outside of a colonist, right? What's your favorite avatar, NFT avatar?
Oh man, that's so tough. I've only got probably three that come to mind that are like established projects that have proven themselves as far as their branding, and they're
Sure.
gonna be my Cool Man's Universe, my Cryptoon Goon, and my SupDuck. If I had to like run around in a world though, fuck. I really fuck with my goon. Let me show you my goon. I paid way overpriced for him because he was like well off the floor because he was a good one. But man, like my goon, dude, I fuck with my goon heavy. I don't think I could ever roll with anything other than my goon.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, dude, yeah, I love him. I love him so much. How about you?
Um, Listen, I like my colonist I have as my profile picture the most. Um, it's pretty like perfect.
I saw
Um,
you bought a cool cat too, bro.
yeah, we have
Cool
some
shit.
stuff cooking with cool cats. We've got so there's not specifically, just a disclaimer, not specifically with the team, but with
Sure.
members of their community. This is what's interesting about Web3 is that you don't really need, it's a permissionless um, field. Like it's you can, because NFTs exist on a blockchain, right? It's kind of like ask for forgiveness, not permission. That's the mindset that you can use because it's by design. If you're creating an NFT, it's meant to be interoperable and interpreted in different ways in different applications.
Absolutely.
That's just like, if you don't understand that as a founder of an NFT project, that your NFT is going to be subject to use in other places, you know, that's just like, you should have done your homework. Like that's literally just how it works.
Yeah.
Like we could wake up one day and there's a pixelated MMO that already created sprites of colonists for every avatar, and a user can log in and play, and we didn't have anything to do with that. That's what's interesting is like, for example, like to circle back to the Toontown reference, we could create a version of a Toontown character, and if that NFT, that character was an NFT, that player would be able to log in, and like depending on the rights of the token ownership, you know, it's the same as like if you were to buy Nike shoes and wear them to school. It's like if you buy shoes from Nike, yeah, maybe you can't sell them in a certain way, but like you can wear them to school. Nobody's keeping you from doing that. So if you're taking your NFT to a metaverse and using it and wearing it, like that's the same thing. It's literally digital ownership. So
Yeah.
we just haven't seen these worlds pop up yet, and that we're
We haven't.
building a world. I hope to see some legit stuff pop up. I haven't yet. um, I did on the other side did their tech demo today. The character model streaming was a little bit weird. I like how they saw a lot of I like how we saw a lot of people in the same place, but it
Yeah.
reminded me of like ants in an ant colony. It was like super. It almost was making my skin crawl, seeing that many people in one place. But it does make me excited that they're thinking that big, because that's going to be great technology to build on top of for like big mass experiences.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, they just need to see if it could work with that many people on it once. So, like, is this going to be a total shit show and everything breaks down, or like can actually handle it? Kind of like when people were like, Solana's going to place Ethereum, and then like one too many transactions happened, Solana fucking crashed. You know?
yeah, there's exactly. We're in the infrastructure stage of the space. It's
Yeah,
That's exciting though too. It's like this is the best time to build, and you know I'm like, and everybody who's in here, like you should be building. Um, like unless somebody's building the exact thing that you want, and you see it clear as day, go support them. Like
yeah,
go try to be a part of their team. That's what I would do. Like if somebody was building Colony and they're building um, everything that I envision for the space, like, dude, my ego's not big enough for me to try to do it better than them. I would want to join because it's not about you, it's about the end product. Um, you know, the only reason I'm leading this project is because I'm probably the most fit to be a leader for it because I care so much about it. But if other things pop up that are bigger and they're more encompassing what the real true vision is, I would be more than happy to join forces and help with something that is arguably more sticky than what we're doing. But right now, it's just we just haven't seen that. So
Yeah.
um,
100%,
that's my
dude. And
outlook.
I think, yeah, for anyone, that's like what some people ask me for my YouTube videos. They're like, all right, like, what are you going to do if we go into a total recession? I was like, dude, nothing changes. My content's never been alpha calls. It's always been educational focused videos, reviews, strategies, podcasts. So nothing changes for me. Like, I'm focused on the industry as a whole. The market's it's like a small subcategory within the entire industry. And I think, yeah, I agree. For anyone listening, if you're not like in quotes building something, or you're not part of something, that you should be looking to acquire some kind of skill that makes you helpful. And if you don't feel like it, then literally there's like bare minimum shit. You can become community manager, moderator. You can help in ways that don't require a specific skill. If you're good at communicating, like this kind of like podcasting, like anyone, there's no barrier to entry for podcasts, no barrier to entry for almost any job in Web3 right now, unless it's like a specific development position or something like that. You can get a lot of places just by connecting and network with the right people. I mean, when I was at NFT NYC, I'm not going to go into a whole thing here, but I went to the Hape event just from a connection. I don't even own a Hape Beast. But I just went to the event and I met the dude who owns all of the hype houses in LA, like all the big TikToker and YouTube names, like all their big houses with like 35 different content creators. He's like, yeah, I own all of those. And I was sitting there, I was like, wait, I'm talking to like a dude who has hundreds of millions of dollars and connected to everybody I know on videos, like on like David Dobrik, all these people. I was like, this guy knows all of them. And I'm just in a random bar with this dude. And that's the power of Web3 and blockchain, because we're all base level here. Like no one has been here long enough and accomplished enough to where they're so much higher, unless they're like Yuga Labs or something. Like no one's up here. Like if you're just entering, yeah, you're gonna be a little bit lower than someone who's been here for a few months. But in the end, like we're all in a space where nobody knows where it's headed. So like you have no barrier to entry. So if you don't know something, stick your neck in there and fucking make it happen. And that's my thought process.
Some people say like Mark Andreessen, who founded Netscape, which if you guys know what Netscape is, it was like a big browser that sold to AOL or Yahoo, one of those back in the day, for $4 billion. And he started a venture capital fund called Andreessen Horowitz that invests in the NFT crypto space. It's a massive company. I think they just raised a $4.5 billion games fund after the bear market came in to full fruition. So he says, though, like Mark Andreessen says, like the companies they find, like all the founders always feel like they're too late. They're almost never too late, and they're almost always too early. So that's from the words of somebody who's seen every deal that exists inside of the space, right? That's their job, is to have like super high deal flow for startups. Like most of the time, like you're gonna be way too early. Like I almost think Colony, our vision is so big for it, and we're so early that it's almost like best to just sit and build infrastructure and wait and watch where the market goes.
Hard because half the people are here and they're mad about the floor, or they're mad about this or that, or like I remember there was a project that launched, and within like 5 minutes people were upset at the founders because they're like, you rugged the project. They're like, bro, we haven't even done anything yet. Like what, the floor's not like as high as you want, so we're rugging the project. Like that's the conclusion you came to, and that's the negative of getting VC funding essentially from a bunch of, half these people are idiot kids with their dad's credit card. Like I came to that conclusion. There's like a lot of those kids in here, and I didn't realize. But when you talk to the maturity level of some of the investors in here, like mint day for them is a cash grab for them. It's not to support a project. They don't realize that this is a funding campaign for a project, you know. And it's an interesting world if you're trying to build something right now, you know.
Yeah, I guess we'll close it off because I gotta go. Like, you know, we're all early. Like I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna be a year from now smarter than I am today on how we operate and everything. Yeah, code word sticky. Boom.
Yeah, if you made it to the end, if you made it to the very end, we appreciate you guys being in here. Because we went longer. I haven't really done many podcasts that stretched to 2 hours, but we talked about a lot of shit. Dude, I really enjoyed my time with you.
No, same, man. I love long conversations because I look at it as like I see it as, you know, we can always it's like a reservoir at the end of a conversation, right? So we go deep enough to get to know each other and talk about some stuff. And I probably took way more of the airtime than you because you're the host.
But you're the you're the guest. We're here to chat about you, bro.
So what we did, like I think, like, you know, the next conversation you're just going deeper, right? So we're gonna be 4 hours into a conversation next time rather than 2, and there's a lot, like when you start getting into hundreds of hours, 200 hours, 300 hours, 400 hours of a conversation with an individual, you learn more about yourself and they learn more about
Yeah.
themselves. And like, in a way, I'm kind of just like airing out my thoughts. Like a lot of these things are like, every day you're a different person.
Yeah.
And, I think we've gotten to a good point in the conversation. And I think next time we'll have more stuff to talk about. I hope that next time we talk, we have something live for you to play on your computer,
Hell yeah.
and you could check out, because like this is what's most important. That's what the space is lacking. It's not lacking marketing. It's not lacking visibility. It's lacking like tangible shit that someone can use, and something where you could go up on the street and someone asks you what you do and you tell them, and it can have a real impact on them. Like if the founder of Uber is talking to somebody and they ask him what he did, it's not like, oh, I started an NFT project or whatever. It's like, no, like you could go on your phone, download the app, click a fucking button and take a ride. Like I want to build something that is for NFTs that is that tangible. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? You own an NFT? Well, hey, we have something that literally works for you. Like that's what OpenSea does, right?
Mhm.
Like you don't want to isolate. You want to be exclusive and inclusive at the same time. And I think that's the key in the NFT space.
100%, dude. 100%. And plus, next time we can get maybe if you want, we can keep it between us, or we can bring on another person on the team if you want. I'm super down for like all of it. I think they're all types of conversations are fun. I think we also could probably have a full discussion on fucking psychedelics, because you brought up mushrooms and you brought up some concepts that they not triggers not the right word, but they like turned me on, because I was like, oh, that's someone who like only someone who's done a psychedelic would be comfortable saying out loud, like some of the things you're talking about, like how you just said you learn more about yourself in a conversation than you do about the other person. A lot of times I feel like that's one of those like introspective thoughts that you get when you dabble in the psychedelic realm.
Yeah, well, I mean, you learn more about yourself because you're in your own head, right? Like
Yeah.
you're never going to experience the true inner workings of somebody else's mind. Everybody's filtering what's coming in. Like it's your brain is a filter for information. It's a fat filter. It's like, if anything, it's one of the biggest filters of truth, because it needs to make sense and support your ego, and it needs to also support your primal like thesis for how you're going to survive. So
Yeah.
you're never really going to be receiving the truth of reality unless you open yourself up to new experiences and you really turn your brain off. And psychedelics, like I'm careful to say, like, don't go out trying shit just because I say something and maybe you look up to me or like something else. Like I've had some you start low and slow. If you ever were to try psychs, don't do it if it's like illegal where you are. But I've learned a lot. There's a lot of like mental and just, how do I put this in a way that doesn't advertise psilocybin?
Hard not to, bro. I mean, they're
Yeah,
getting legalized everywhere. I think people are waking up a little bit. They're like, okay, maybe it's not. It's the same with weed, dude. Like, okay, it's not as bad as we thought. It actually doesn't do any of the things we said 10 years ago. I think it's just another one of those things. But I mean, yeah, we're not we're not trying to say take mushrooms, but like, yeah.
yeah. I would say I've made, okay, so to say it in a way, like I've made breakthroughs mentally, and changed fundamentally as a person and how I interact with the world, and think of myself. Like I would say that like a lot of the reason I'm so confident in what I'm doing and I feel so comfortable being myself is because I've had experiences where I've really kind of like thought about things that I had been suppressing for a while, and those are tough things to deal with. But a psychedelic experience might prompt that to you, and it's really tough to deal with. But a lot of people go throughout this life not even knowing themselves, and I'm lucky. I feel like I'm getting to know myself every day on how I actually want to live the rest of my life. And this project and everything I'm working on is a reflection of that. I think, at least that's how I feel, and I'm still figuring it out. But yeah, psychedelics are a very interesting topic, and I'm be more than happy to give my perspective on it next time we chop it up.
Oh yeah, man, that's a great place to end. I agree. I mean, that's the entire thing with my brand, the Joyage. It's going on your own voyage, testing yourself, rolling the dice on yourself. That's where I moved into my car, traveled the country solo. I learned a goddamn lot about me, and I mixed a little bit of psychedelics in there, maybe. But yeah, I think when you face yourself and you try and learn about yourself, that's a whole thing on its own. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. If this is not your first podcast with me, I want to see OG spam in the chat. You already know. And I have the colonist. I have his Twitter, I believe, in the description if you guys want to check him out. Dude, appreciate your time. This was fucking fun. And hell yeah, guys, click that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Thanks for joining, guys. Peace.
Hell yeah, man. All right, guys. Until the next time, continue on your Joyage, continue to learn, and be grateful you're alive watching this video. Bye.